Hello, hello. Here is Elena and Ryan Hall today in the podcast Mindset to Results. And will be the next episode where we will share our very powerful and valuable discussion with you. Hi, Ryan.
Elena, it's awesome to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're most welcome. I'm always glad to see you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I'm uh, I'm an author, a storytelling coach. I have 5 books under my name, 4 solo books. I am a editor, publisher, podcaster myself. So yeah, no, at my heart, I am a storyteller. I truly believe that our stories and that our voice can really change the world. And I my mission in life is to help people find their voice and tell their story.
Wow, such a great mission. Find their voice and tell their story. Yes, sometimes people are looking for outside things, yes, and they need somebody to remind them that they have a powerful story. And I also was recently reminded by my friend that I have to tell my story because I have so many followers in different social media, and still people don't know my story. So maybe you will be the right person to help me to do that right.
Hey, you know how to find me.
Yeah. So tell us about your story, Ryan. What made you to come to that point that you decided that it is so important to help people to tell their stories, and you decided that you will make it your mission and what you do today?
Well, that's a beautiful question. And I'd like to start just by saying that I was tired. Like, I was tired of, first of all, knowing that I sat on my story for so many years, that I sat on who I was, that I sat on my authentic voice for so many years. And I was just tired. I was tired of seeing just brilliant men, brilliant women really sitting on their voice and not rattling the world with their message. Because I did that. I sat on my voice for so many years. I was the classic, kid in the back of the classroom, never said a word to anybody because I was just scared of everything. I was scared of everybody. But I was scared of speaking my mind. I was really scared of speaking from my heart and living that life from fear. And when I started to kind of free myself from that, that's when I started realizing just how powerful my voice was. And really, and I really became present to just how powerful everybody's voice is. Everybody's story really is.
Why do you think that people should share their stories and their message with the world?
Small answer is that it changes the world. But kind of the micro answer, I think because everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has overcome some obstacles, who has overcome, their own self-limiting beliefs, overcome fear, overcome prejudice, overcome a lot of stuff, but they don't really realize how powerful their story can be. Like, I'll give you a great example. When uh, I released a memoir back in 2022 called "Mining for My Voice," and that would that book was about really how a meek and scared boy uncovered a world-rattling voice. Now, even before I published it to the public, I had put it out on the on the Kindle store. It had been live for maybe, 2 or 3 days. And I got an email from a man who I was really good friends with back in, like, the 3rd and 4th grade. He moved away like, his family moved away from my school, but I got an email from him, and he acknowledged just how powerful that book was for him after he read it, and that really meant a lot to me because I never really realized just how powerful my own story was, and just to know and it's more than just this one person, right? But just to know that my story, that sharing about what I have overcome, what I have what I have learned, what I have like sharing my own resilience, but just sharing that affected that one person. He was able to affect the people in his circles. They were able to affect the people in their own circles, and it really changes the world like that. So it's just it's kind of like that ripple effect of dropping a pebble on the water. The way that the ripples kind of spread out. That's really how this stuff works.
Yes, yes, amazing. Yeah, how you explain it. Yes, and people find themselves in similar situations, and it is so encouraging to see that person was in the same situation or maybe even worse, and he found the way and he got himself out of that and thrives in life. And sharing the story, it is like giving people the opportunity to see that there is the way out, because sometimes the life situation can be tough, and many people can find themselves lonely in that situation.
Totally.
And it is like, even people who you maybe have family, sometimes it feels that you cannot speak to your family, you cannot share this with your kids or with your mother. For example, like it
Right.
was in my situation, I was like alone. I couldn't share with those people who I have to take care of, and it is feels like how to find the way. And in this situation, when we share, when we hear stories of people who were in similar situations, it really gives the hope. It gives the courage to continue and find in that way.
Totally. Totally. One of the books that I published as part of my business, Royal Hearts Media, was a memoir by a lady who was, we were kind of not really in the inner circle before we started working together, but she's definitely in my inner circle now. But this is a woman I always knew as just this super powerhouse kind of woman, right? But her story is a story of incredible resilience. Her story is a story of recovery. She's a recovering alcoholic. And like almost how she seemingly tried to ruin her own life through alcohol. But as she got clean, as she got sober, that's where her authentic voice came out. There's a metaphor that I love to use of the rubble of a destroyed building. You're climbing out from under that rubble. You're climbing out from the traumas, from the pain, from the disappointment of your life. And we all have it, right? To different levels, but we all have it. But you're climbing out from under that rubble, but all of a sudden the rubble collapses right back on you because you're not getting free from that pain. You're not forgiving yourself for your past. You're not forgiving yourself for the for the mistakes, you know, for the, for the trauma of your past.
Hmm.
And that's where I think that's where a lot of people get stuck in their own heads and get stuck in their own stories.
Yes, sometimes it feels like there is that story is so powerful and heavy that people just get drained in that. All their thoughts are just about that story, and even when they want to think about something different, their mind, which is already conditioned to that story, it just brings it back. And
Yes.
it helped
It
it, yeah, and it happened to me when I was in similar situation. I wanted to think about something different, but it was like 24/7 movie in my head. And it is sometimes very difficult to change the thoughts because it just whatever you start thinking different, just bring you back to that movie. Did you ever experience this?
oh, totally. Totally. And it's not even in past tense either. Sometimes these intrusive thoughts as you describe them really become lot really become they feel a lot more real than they really are. Like, I'll give you a great example from my own life. Um, I was, I am the son of two alcoholics. They've both since passed away. My mom and
Mhm.
dad, brilliant people, absolutely brilliant people, but broken people. You know what I mean? And it has like, some of the stuff that I saw, they were, deeply loving people, but there were, but they felt like they were broken inside. They had to cover up the pain and and their own fear because of they had to cover that up through these substances. And that affects everybody in their life. That affected, that sometimes that still affects me because I'm 47 years old, but I still get these flashbacks. I still get these, flashbacks isn't a great word, but I still get these twinges of fear that put me right back to when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, right when everything was just popping off. So, you know, you have to keep you can't really do this alone for one thing, but you can't really go through this life. You can't really free yourself of these stories until you really heal yourself from these stories. And I think that's really what you were getting at because these stories they're just so heavy. They can just get so heavy until you free yourself of them.
What helped you to free yourself from your story?
I got tired. I got tired of kind of feeling like I was you know, like I was chasing my own story. I got tired of feeling like I was my own, chasing my own past. Um, finding a coach, I work with a coach. Finding a therapist, I work with a therapist. Finding that circle of people that I trust with my life and trust with my story really allowed me to start freeing myself from, some of the things in my past and really kind of recreating my relationship with my family, recreating my relationship with my past. And honestly, that's a big part of what I write about is recreating my relationships with certain people, with certain events from my past.
Yeah.
But to kinda answer your question, I chose it, and I
Mhm.
choose it over and over and over again. Sometimes even when I don't want to, the I choose the forgiveness, I choose the peace over and over again.
Mhm. Yes, exactly, exactly. So I know that there is many common between us, not only the color of our t-shirts, which we wearing today.
Purely accidental, by the way. We did not coordinate this.
Yes, it is exactly like what happened helped me in my situation when I just understood that that situation and those thoughts and that movie which were in my mind 24/7 about the properties which were stolen by people who showed themselves as my friends and who used my trust, and that situation which totally crushed me when I lost everything I had, like three houses, car, everything in the houses. Like also, I had mortgages to pay for those houses, and also another houses in another country which I bought got affected, like effect of domino, which has everything just started crashing.
Hmm.
And I was in that bad situation, and I understood that enough is enough. That I liked how you said that the change starts from making decision. When you just
Hmm.
understand that enough is enough, it is just it's too much, and you're not going to stay in that state anymore. And what helped me that I just decided that I'm not allowing myself to think about that anymore, because I was thinking about this so much that it totally got me to very depressive state. I couldn't sleep, I got sick, I had no energy, I couldn't think about anything because this situation totally occupied my mind. And when I came to that decision that I am not allowing myself to think about this anymore, and whatever thoughts were coming, I was replacing them with listening different podcasts or different master classes, different YouTube videos for world known leaders of thought. And that helped me to replace, like when I focus my mind to think about what is good, what is uh, like helping me to change the topic and to grow and find new purpose in life, find myself out of that situation. It helped me to feel better and starting moving towards the steps which to create my future.
You know what comes up for me as you were sharing that? There's a great movie from the 70s. It came out in 1976 called Network. One of my favorite movies of all time. The screenplay was written by a man named Patty Chayefsky, who was really one of my literary heroes. But it's about a man who is a TV news anchor who essentially goes crazy, but they exploit his breakdown into TV ratings. But the line of that movie that kind of came up for me were as you were sharing about that story was the line from the character Howard, "I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore." When you get to that
Mhm.
point where you just have enough, where you just have where you're just like at your wits end and you have to just like draw that line in the sand. I can't do this anymore. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. That's when that real growth start to happen. That's when those real powerful stories can start to come out. That's when those real just magical moments can happen, but you have to make that choice. You have to make that decision. You have to draw that line in the sand because nobody else can do it for you.
Yes, exactly. So this is just a matter of decision. And when we decide that we are not going to let that situation to harm us anymore, and that we become aware of the thoughts and start replacing them with the thoughts which serve us and which related to our future, instead of just being and living all time in the past in those thoughts, this is when the change happens. And it comes I would not say that it comes easy, but if we understand that we have the choice to think what we choose, we can choose what to think about. And when we understand that what we think about creates our future, it makes a big change. And for me, it came when I found Bob Proctor, who became my mentor, and I understood how the process in the mind works. And this is, I understood, like, this is happening in my mind. This is just mental activity occupied all my mind, and I don't think anymore. This is just like a play recorder is just running the same recording again and again. And that is why I think that people in such situation, they really need mentor, they need somebody, they need coach,
Yes.
somebody who can help them to understand that it is like a virus, it is literally like a virus in their head, which,
That's a great analogy. Yes.
yes, it is like a virus in the head that just occupied all the, like, we have computer, and imagine like there is a program which virus comes and it just occupies everything, and everything just starts doing as its own way, and we don't have any control. And when we understand this, like from awareness, the solution comes. And it helped me very much when I understood how this process happened, what is, how subconscious mind affects our thinking, and how our thinking also affects subconscious mind, and then how we always have the choice. Whatever happens, the only thing which cannot be taken from us, it is ability to make choice. And when we become aware of what we think about, this is when the situation start to change.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I believe that's why a lot of us get into the coaching space because we seek out these mentors. We seek out these people who have been there, who have similar struggles, who have similar stories than we might have. Um, and I think that's why a lot of us become coaches. I think that's why a lot of us seek out that space because we know we know there's something on the other side of the pain. We know there's something on the other side of that rubble. We just have to find it. But going about it alone, it's just not going to work. We have to find these mentors, these people who have been there, who understand what we're going through. They may not have this exact same story, but they understand. They can empathize. They can feel what, what we're going through. And I think that's just incredibly powerful in this space and the kind of work that I do.
Yes. And another thing which helped me was to give a different meaning to the situation that happened. It also was
Yes.
so helpful when I understood that, again, from learning from Bob Proctor, when I learned about the law of the opposites, and how Bob described and explained that in everything bad, what happened, there is exact equivalent of good. So
Yes.
in every situation, whatever bad it is, and it can be the worst what could happen, but if we just have that ability to shift our perception from that bad effects to what good can be found. And when I did this work, I found that that situation was the best in my life, although it was painful, but it shook me so much that I woke up. I woke up and I started understanding that there is always a cause and effect, and the cause always is in us. So I decided to change myself. I started doing different things. I started learning. I started changing myself, transforming my beliefs, creating new habits. And if we look now to whom I became today, this is because of that situation. Otherwise, I would be that person who lived that life, and I would not do today what I do. And I wouldn't find my true passion that is helping people with their mindset, live the life, and thrive.
That gave me chills. Just really thinking about just some of the things from my own past and what I have learned from that, because there's always in it. I feel like a broken record right now, but it comes back to that choice point. Are we going to choose to are we going to choose to follow the rabbit down the rabbit hole of, of the fear, of the anxiety, of the worry, of the self-judgment, of what could I have done differently in this situation? What could I have said differently about this situation? Or the do we choose to find the light? Do we choose to find the life lessons in it? Do we choose to find the purpose out of this whole situation? So it all comes down to those choice points. It all comes down to just, what do we like? What lessons? What wisdom do we want to take away from that?
Exactly, exactly. Most people are conditioned to think that other people or circumstances or government or economy is the cause of their problem. And when something goes the way that they not expect, they automatically start blaming people. And they don't know that they are the cause. Maybe not consciously. It is, of course, was not me who consciously wanted my friends to steal my property, right? Or
Right,
people
right,
who pretended to be my friends. But if when I started looking inside, I understood that it was me who allowed those people be in my circle, right? Like I let them in. I give them my trust. So I didn't I didn't think right. So I did mistakes that gave them this opportunity to do what they did. And when I started analyzing, this is how I understood that it is me who need to change in order to get different results in life. It is me who have to change. And that's why it it pushed me because I needed solution. I was in bad situation and I needed solution. I needed to get me out. So that exact situation pushed me to look for solution and to find the help and to start this new myself creation process to become who I am today.
bingo, bingo. That's very well stated. And just to kind of add on to that, you have to make that choice yourself. You can't let the circumstances of life, the people in your life, the news, the government, what have you. You can't let those changes, you can't let those things affect what you choose to be in this world. Sometimes it just might mean freeing yourself from, watching TV news. uh, you know what kind of going on a TV news diet, so to speak. Because if we're at the effect of all of this stuff, we're never going to get clear of that story. We're never going to clear ourselves of that rubble.
As for me, I am already on TV diet, I think 20 years. We don't have television
Right.
for 20 years. I just don't think that it is something that I need in my life. Yeah. And about those, I wanted also to share about those paradigms that most people live so much conditioned, and we are mostly habitual creatures. Like most of our behavior is habitual, and people get results which they don't like, but because they don't look inside of themselves and they don't understand that they are the cause, they continue to do the same things, the same behavior again and again, and they get even bigger results which they don't want. And this happens continues before something bad happens that hit them so much that they wake up at last and they say, oh, here I am. Now I understood, because similar situations happened with me before also, but I didn't put attention. So now it became so huge just to wake me up, to let me know that this has to be changed in order I can find my better way and show up as a better version of myself.
Like the events like the events are going to happen, but we choose the way that we react to those events. Um, I'm reminded of the Martin Luther King quote, and I may butcher this quote, like the exact wording of it, but we must be the change that we wish to see in the world. Or it might have been Gandhi. I honestly can't remember, but we must be the change that we wish to see in this world. We must be the people that we must we must be the people that we wish to see in this world. There is a there's a great quote by the author Toni Morrison, who who I'm a big fan of. But the quote is, if you want I- if there's a book that you want to read, you must write it. If there's a story that you wish to tell, you must tell it. You've got to hang on to your own pen, because if you give the pen to anybody else, they're gonna they're gonna tell the story. They're gonna tell your story with that bent of you with that bent of you you just lose control of your own narrative that way. And that's just a huge part of what I do. That's a huge part of who I am as an author. That's a huge part of who I am as a coach. So that's just a huge part of who I am, just taking the pen back and writing my own story and teaching people how to do the same.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. I think that so many people need your help to understand that their story is important, and your experience to help them to write it the way to impact people and share with the world, so other people can benefit from it. If there will be three teachables that you would like to share with people who are listening to us now, what would that be?
All right. The first thing that I want to share here is find your voice. Your voice is never gone. You may hide your voice behind your own story, but find your voice. And I'm not necessarily speaking as a speaker. You may want to tell your story in a book. You may want to tell your story by writing poetry. You may want to strap a guitar around your neck and tell your story in a song. But you need to find your voice. You need to find that passion behind your story. The second thing is, what actually is your story? Is it a story of healing? Is it a story of resilience? Is it a just a totally just fantasy story about elves and hobbits or whatever? I mean, that has already been stolen, but you get what I'm saying. What actually is your story? And then the third thing is, find out what you need to do to put everything together. However your story may look, be it in a book, a podcast, a keynote talk, a song at an open mic, put all of that stuff together to tell your story. Because as I said earlier, and as I believe more strongly now than ever, your story changes the world. Because if that one person who reads your story and reaches out to you talks about how powerful that story was for them, they affect their circles, and their circles can end up affecting the entire world, because your story can change the world. You may not be able to see it yet, but your story can change the world.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Ryan, for everything you do and for your beautiful story and your books which you published. I am sure that many people read this book and find answers to their questions. And for our listeners who listen to us, I would also say that believe in yourself. You are unique. You are the highest creature on this planet. You have given so much power. You should know that you are the person who can create so much impact on other people's lives. Share your story, find your mission, find your purpose, and live life with fulfillment. Thank you, Ryan, for being with us today and for this amazing interview.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Elena. I would love to invite you on my podcast.
It's a great deal.
All right. Thank you so much, my friend.